All right, welcome back to Better Kansas City. There's a lot that separates the 5 generations in the workforce now, and Catherine Oslip from Thrive on Concepts is here with ways to bridge the gaps. Now, first off, I want to welcome you to Better Kansas City. This is your very first time on the show, so thank you very much for joining us today. This is kind of a peculiar topic because I never thought about it really before, but we're at a point where you have, baby boomers kind of in the older not older generation, but the older folks in the workplace, and then folks
more
like
experienced.
More
That's
experienced.
What we like to say.
That's why you're the expert, and I'm not. And millennials as the younger kids in the workplace, and they're coexisting and working together. How do we bridge that gap, or what does it mean to bridge that gap between generations?
Yeah. So you've probably heard. I mean, we talked about 5 generations in the workforce right now, all the way from traditionalists down to Generation Z. But you probably also heard that by 2020, millennials are going to take over half of the workforce, which for some people can be really scary, and for other people, they're super excited about it.
Can I ask, what's a traditionalist? I've not heard of that.
So that's going to be the generation that occurred right before the baby boomers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm not exactly sure on the date, but I believe it's those born before 1946.
Okay. Yeah, because baby boomers were post World War II, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
So what makes your kind of approach different to bridging this generational gap?
Yeah. So one of the things currently right now, the way that generations are formed is that there's an age range. So if you're born between this time or this time, you're given a generational title.
A title, yeah.
Right? But what happens is there's not a standard age or there's not a standard range. And that's one of the biggest problems with this. Plus, we label and then create characteristics for those. And so what we're trying to do with Thrive on Concepts is create for business leaders a way for them to redefine the individual with the equation experience plus their environment is going to equal that uniqueness of that individual.
Cool. That's interesting. I never thought about things like that. That's quite an interesting way to step back and think about it. I was always trying to figure out my generation. I'm 38 years old, and somebody put the term Xennial out the other day, where we had an analog childhood and a digital adulthood. We kind of grew up with the internet. So I mean, we had rotary phones, that we dialed on, but now we use the internet and cell phones like it's nobody's business.
Right, and that's actually one of the things that comes up when we work with business leaders is that the people that are working for them, employees, don't want to be classified as specific generations because they feel like it doesn't accurately represent them. And so you have exactly that. People creating those subcategories because they don't want to be associated with a certain generation, or they want to create something that makes more sense for them.
So is that maybe a direction we should move forward then into, is approaching with no labels for these generations?
Well, so short answer, we get asked this a lot, but short answer, no, we should not eliminate generations. Generations and the research that goes behind it is exceptional because it's one of the things that creates trends and patterns, and that's how businesses decide on what they need to change. But with our approaches, we really want individuals to feel like they're valued in the workplace. And so it's all about training those leaders in the workforce on how to treat that person as an individual.
Then what can we and our viewers do to go ahead and work towards bridging that generational gap? Yeah,
so whether you're a leader in a business, which is primarily who we work with as leadership consultants, or a leader in your community and your home, there's 4 universal tips that people can use.
Okay.
So the first one is going to be remove those labels. Treat them as an individual.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 is going to be to form a connection with them.
Okay.
Find something that you have in common with them. It doesn't matter what it is, but it creates a step closer
something
to
that you guys
foster
can
a
bond
relationship.
over. Sure.
Right. The third is going to be recognize them and appreciate the things that they bring. So what is it they're really good at? Compliment, praise them on that. Encourage them to continue to add value. And then the last thing is going to be appreciate the fact that we're all different.
Yeah.
Right? Be happy about it. Look for those things. Because that's how you're going to learn and create new experiences.
Okay. Well, Catherine, thank you very much for being here. I think that's a totally unique perspective and very interesting stuff that I've never thought about before, but it's very cool. So thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it.